Hi, everybody. Dan Ullman, Matt Bernier, the DRF.com Formulator Race of the Day for Saturday, April the 15th is race number 11 at Oaklawn Park. It's the Grade 1 $1 million Arkansas Derby. Let's take a look at this full field of three-year-olds. And Matt, remember, the folks at home can head on over to the Race of the Day event page on DRF.com, download those Formulator past performances, and handicap along with us. The story of the race is the number 2 Classic Empire Racing's bad boy, so to speak. If he behaves himself and runs his usual race, he's going to win. Who knows what you're going to get behavior-wise?
Yeah, I think you got to separate the two things. From a wagering standpoint, I really don't care what price he is. He's a terrible bet in this race because you have no idea what you're going to get. From a let's say, stability standpoint with the three-year-olds, I think this is a critical race because if he does what he's capable of doing, all of a sudden now we can look at it and say, all right, maybe he's finally kind of sharpening up a little bit and not acting like a goofball anymore. I guess there's a part of me that is just wondering a little bit. You want to talk about something that no one's really talking about. Could you make the case that the Breeders' Cup Juvenile was the outlier and that this is actually what he is?
Well, from a Beyer speed figure standpoint, you can make that case because that was the only race where he cracked a 90 Beyer speed figure, let alone the 100. He earned a 102 in that race. He's just so hard to read. I mean, that Breeders' Cup Juvenile was a brilliantly game and professional performance, and you were like, boy, he's over those problems. Because early in his career, and we're not even counting the hopeful where he wheeled and dumped his jockey, in his first 2 races he won, he was a terrible gate horse, and he overcame it with his natural ability. Then after the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, nothing's gone right. Just the Holy Bull was a dull performance. Now, Irish Warcry and Gunnevera, 2 very good horses. Maybe we underestimated them going into that race. Foot problem, didn't want to train. We saw he was a hot mess before that race. Boy, I just hope Classic Empire shows up because it would be a shame if such a talented horse just ends up going to waste because he's his own worst enemy.
Yeah, and you almost wonder too, and I don't know how you feel about it, but even let's just say he runs a good second, is that going to be satisfying? To me, I almost feel like if you can't win this race, how are you going to win the Derby in 3 weeks?
You also have to remember that Cassie's main goal is the Derby.
Yeah.
He wants to win the Derby, and because he only has 1 race, and that was that race that was sort of had the problems with the feet, and he didn't get much out of it, you want to get him tight, but you don't want to squeeze the lemon dry before the Derby. So I'm not sure how Cassie's going to play this with Classic Empire. He's the horse to beat by far. He's the most likely winner by far. Do I want to bet him at his 8-5 morning line? No.
I agree with you 100% about all of that.
The second choice on the morning line, and the close second choice, is the number 12, Malegacy, who is 2-1. Javier Todd, undefeated from 3 starts, passed the 2-turn test, beat 5 of these common rivals last time out in the Rebel, and for some reason is a bit underwhelming.
Yeah, I wonder if a lot of it has to do with sort of the narrative that maybe he doesn't want to go this far and that the Rebel was a really, really weak race in a Triple Crown campaign and season so far that has been littered with less than stellar performances. It seems like the group in the Rebel was really, really suspect. And you get the majority of them coming back here. I think the thing that really works against him in a race like this, boy, being on that far outside, that's a tough situation to be in for a horse that likes to be forward. If he can overcome all of this, and let's say Conquest, let's say that Classic Empire runs his race, then I think you really have to start, particularly someone like me that's always been a little bit dubious, you really have to start saying, this horse has done nothing wrong.
The key for this horse, you're right, is going to be the first quarter of a mile. Javier is not going to take this horse back. No. He's going to use this horse's speed and hope to get a spot without giving up too much ground going into the first turn. If he is able to do that, this horse did show the ability to sit and relax in the Rebel. My definition of his Rebel, my description of his Rebel win was, it was an inoffensive win over subpar competition. We'll see what he can do against Classic Empire. I think he's the other one if it's not Classic Empire. Now you got to start reaching for prices and looking for intriguing angles. The Weekend Warrior Daily Racing Form national handicapper Mike Watchmaker in his Weekend Warrior piece is available on video.drf.com. He likes our formulator fact horse, the number 1 Rockin' Rudy. Doug O'Neill, over the past 5 years with 3-year-olds moving turf to dirt and removing blinkers, 40%, a 352 ROI. Rockin' Rudy's lone dirt start was a long time ago. He showed he could handle it.
Yeah, he really did. He won by the length of the stretch, and that was going, 5.5 furlongs. Now, it's going to be very interesting to see. I think you have one way to go with him. You're drawing the rail, just send him and hope for the best. And I kind of understand entirely what Mike's thought process is with a horse like this. If you don't like the Rebel and you don't trust Classic Empire, or you don't know what you're going to get out of him, and even if he runs well, He's going to be a short price. Why not take just a complete unknown? And that's what this horse is.
Let's take a look at the number 9, Untrapped. Never off the board from 5 starts for trainer Steve Asmussen. Blinkers are going on here. In the Rebel, I thought he got a great ride from Irad. He was in between horses, but not in a bad place. He eased out, and he looked like a major threat to the winner turning for home, and he just flattened out. To me, he ran the same race in the Rebel as he did in the Risen Star. Now, maybe the blinkers just get him to focus a little bit better early because he already has good tactical speed. I'm not sure how far he wants to go.
Yeah, for me, the addition of the blinkers, I understand trying to get a little bit more out of him, but I just have major questions about how far he wants to go.
Let's talk about the number 3, Silver Dust, another horse getting an equipment change in this race. He's getting blinkers on for trainer Randy Morse. There's something here with this horse. There's a little bit of ability. He was pulling hard in the early portion of the Rebel. He ended up in behind horses. He just lacked that punch in the stretch, but he's never taken a backward step on the Beyer scale. And if you think he'll focus better and relax better with the blinkers, maybe get a little more speed into him, he has a chance in this race at a price.
He's one that I suppose coming out of the Rebel, if you want to give, I don't want to say mulligan, but if you want to give the benefit of the doubt and say there's still something here, he's lightly raced, you have an equipment change, and for all the reasons you laid out, he was a little bit keen early on, and maybe that expended a little bit too much energy down the lane. I agree, he's an interesting sort of, maybe he can bounce back with a better effort this time around.
I'm a big fan of the number 4, Petrov, a horse that just shows up every time, tries hard, and gives good effort after good effort. In the Smarty Jones in the Southwest, he had to do a lot of the dirty work, chasing a loose uncontested in both of those races, and still finished okay. In the Rebel, he was kind of one-paced. I thought that maybe the distance, 1 mile and a 16th, a little bit far from him. Now he's got to go 1 mile and an 1/8, but he's well posted, and he has the tactical speed to get a trip.
You know, I kind of wanted to look at him and fall in love with him a little bit more than I did. And I just looked at it time and time again, watching the replay, going, what was the excuse? And I think the excuse was the distance. I don't think he wants to go 1 mile and 16th. If you don't want to go that far, how are you going to get 1 mile and an 1/8?
Sonneteer was a maiden coming into the Rebel. He's a maiden coming out of the Rebel and coming into the Arkansas Derby, but he ran on at the end of that race to finish second. Keith DeZormo's horses seem to get better with distance and maturity, but how much improvement can we really expect? This is now start number 10.
I kind of feel like the last time out was the jump. Now, maybe not. Maybe we'll find that this one takes another step forward. I think he's going to appreciate any pace that's signed on. Prove to me that that's actually what you are, that 89, because even an 89 is slow, but prove to me that most recent run is actually representative.
The 11 Conquest Mo Money would be a nice story. Coming
Certainly
from
would.
Sunland Park, he's really done nothing wrong from 4 starts. He's a bargain priced son of the fantastic young stallion Uncle Mo, and he ran well in the Sunland Derby, a race that was flattered when IRAP came back to shock the Bluegrass last week.
If you want to spin a positive story here, why not? Say IRAP, who was well beaten by this horse or finished well behind this horse, why can't he be one to take a step forward here? I think he's interesting. I don't love him, but I wouldn't fault anyone that just want to take a fresh face.
3 outsiders that have to improve are the recent maiden winner Grandpa's Dream, who is a pace-pressing victor at 1 mile and a 16th. The pace will be faster against tougher horses here. Rowdy the Warrior, who's a one-run closer, a horse that hasn't gotten appreciably faster in his last few races, and One Dreamy Dude, a maiden, Jack Van Berg taking a shot.
Yeah, I have to be honest, and I'm not trying to be mean, but you just look at this race, as wide open as it looks, I have a hard time seeing any of them winning.
Let's take a look at our top selections for the Arkansas Derby. I just wish I had a better feel for this race. I have a feeling that Javier is going to do the right thing with Malegacy. He's going to be aggressive coming out of there. He's going to get this horse to settle on the outside, and we'll see A, how good he is, and B, how far he wants to go. If he goes off at his morning line odds of 2-1, I'm not sure I want anything to do with him. Heck, I'm not sure I'm going to play this race at all. To read this race is just fascinating to see what do we get from Classic Empire.
Let's just say everything works out for Malegacy, though. Going forward, I feel like he's still a horse that won't get the respect he deserves because you see where he's been campaigned and what he's been beating in X, Y, and Z. But at some point, don't you just have to stop and say all he does is go out and run?
At some point, you have to say 3 starts, combined margin of victory, 29 lengths. He's won at 5.5. He's won at 1 mile and a 16th, and he's done it all since January the 4th. They've thrown a lot at this horse in a short amount of time, and he's answered the bell every time. Let's talk about the 6 looking at Lee. You're a fan of this horse. All he needs is some pace because this horse, he does kick a bit, and Steve Asmussen's kind of sharp in these situations. You know, slight step forward, peak at the right time.
You know, I'm probably just, maybe it's the definition of insanity. If it didn't work the past couple times, you just keep doing it, you expect a different result. I think there is something here. I don't know if this is going to be the day. Asmussen said all along he is the one horse of his 3-year-olds that he thinks more distance is only going to be beneficial. He gets out to the 1 mile and an 1/8 here. I don't know that he's going to get the pace that he truly needs, which could compromise him. But I wonder, I'm at the point now, in a race where I agree, I don't have any strong opinion or any super interesting opinion. I'm at the point now where come along at the end, get your points, get into the Derby. I just want somebody to clunk along at the end and round out some exotics. And you know, he'll be a decent number in here. Maybe I could throw a couple bucks on him.
Classic Empire, the key to this race, we're going to try to beat him.
Yeah.
Matt's going to go 6, 2, 12, and 4. I'm going to go 12, 9, 4, and 3 in the Grade 1 Arkansas Derby, our formulator race of the day. DRF Bets wants you to be a VIP for a week.
Wow.
Head on over to drfbets.com/VIP and start off with a $300 bonus. Great for this fantastic card at Oaklawn Park on Saturday. And the approximate post time for the Arkansas Derby, race number 11, 6:18 Central. Best of luck.